minutes to 8. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, we're coming to you live from Eko Hotel, venue of the Nigeria Governors Forum Retreat. We're joined this morning by Governor Rotimi Amaechi, Governor of Rivers State and Chairman of the Governors Forum. Thank you for coming on this morning, sir. Well, this retreat, just what is the focus now, the essence of this retreat? Because I know you did extend an invitation to the other group of Governors Forum. They've spoken up about it, but we'll get to that in a moment.
What did they say?
Well, what we read was that the last one you held, that it wasn't properly attended. And so the names that have been sent, that you're putting down names of some governors as part of those committees that will attend some sessions without their consent, and they feel you want to legitimize this forum.
Is this illegitimate? You don't need any particular. Well, you need all the governors to attend the meetings, but the quorum is very clear what constitutes a quorum. Again, it's not a meeting, it's a retreat. They have a choice to attend or not, but for the interest of the country, they need to attend. The current situation in Nigeria now, in terms of corruption, that started from the last governors forum. I was just gossiping with a friend of mine. I said Nigerians should learn to remember that it's from the governors. When we said $5 billion missing in the excess school account, then there was this clash between myself and the Minister for Finance, and there's nothing missing. Later we discovered it disappeared, and they acknowledged it's no longer there. And then we talked about the missing money. The way we talked about it was saying we have a letter from the CBN. And then they acknowledged it, didn't deny that one. But then
she did say in her reply, though, that you didn't acknowledge the 56.2 billion, I beg your pardon, from the excess crude account that went to Rivers State between January and September 2013.
Not the excess crude account. That is the monthly allocation from the inflation account. Have we ever denied how much we get? We publish what we get. Rivers State government publishes what we get. We used to call town hall meetings to say how much we've gotten, what we've done with the money, until we began to get security challenges. And we felt it wasn't necessary to continue to gather until we resolve the political crisis. And you knew that the political crisis in Rivers State was not between politicians. It was between Rivers State government and the police and the federal government agencies. And why would that happen? It was simply because the chairman of Governors Forum has started talking about these issues that affected Nigeria. So occasionally I'll talk about Rivers State, I'll talk about our roads, I'll talk about our water, and I say clearly that the water project has stopped. Since we started talking, now they have allowed World Bank and ADB to commence. So we met with ADB last week. We met with World Bank last week so that the water can commence.
Is that part of what we focus on in this retreat?
No, what we focus on there, just go back to your question, because I had to come in when you talked about this. We're going to focus on agriculture, because you see, last time we talked about insecurity, we talked about corruption. Now, it's not enough to criticize. It's not enough to say this is what is happening. We must also provide solutions. And we think that one of the critical elements to insecurity is unemployment, inequality. The fact that people can't have the necessary requirement to sustain their livelihood. So we think that if we focus on agriculture, both at the state and the federal level, we believe there has to be an alternative economy. We believe that the oil economy is not enough for the whole country. We believe that the rent culture in which the elites have trapped the oil economy cannot sustain the poor. And in Nigeria, the elites are just about 1% or 10% at most. Now, so if you need to feed the other 90, then you need to provide an alternative economy. And the Nigerian Governors Forum is going to look at agriculture. We're going to look at the things that power the economy, and that's essentially power.
Would that be taking into cognizance some of the agenda that the minister is currently driving now in agriculture?
Well, it doesn't matter what the minister is currently driving. What we're looking at is what do we do? We believe that to create employment.
I believe it's part of what
he wants everyone to do. Yeah, I don't know about that, because I've been doing, I've created a lot of farms in Rivers State. The minister has never spoken to me one day. I don't know whether it is the fear of the president or not, or also. But critical to us is primary cropping. Because we believe that once you start primary cropping, before you go to processing, then you engage a lot of those who are not in school. For instance, Boko Haram, there's nothing you can do about Boko Haram if you don't create primary cropping in those areas, because a lot of them who are there are not educated. And so you can't say, okay, I put you in PHCN, or I employ you in government services. So you need to create what we call jobs for the unskilled labor. So we're going to look at that primary cropping. And then for other areas, because you'll be wasting those crops if you don't process it, we're also going to look at agro-processing.
But there's one key thing, though, for agriculture to thrive: land. The Land Use Act. What's going to happen? Are you going to talk about that as well? Because it vests all land, actually, in states and local governments.
No. I don't think we're going to cover it because there's nobody who's ever asked for land that the states are not willing to give.
But we know it's quite tough accessing land.
No. The people who are talking about that are people who are not ready to do business. There are people who want to build houses. They're talking about real estate. That's what we're interested in. If you come to River State, even as bad as it is with us on the issue of land, that we don't have enough land, if you come to River State and ask for land for agriculture, believe me, you won't get it free. We will ask to go into an equity participation, say 20% equity participation for River State government for the contribution of land, and the other 80% that you have, you use in doing your business. So I don't see any. In fact, it's worse in the north because the northern governors are ready to give you land free if you just want to go into agriculture. So that will create employment.
You know, it's really amazing that we started talking about all of this development because one would have thought that the whole essence of the Governors Forum is mainly for peer review mechanism to talk about the nation and how we can forge ahead. But over time, have we actually been doing all of that from the forum?
You should have asked why they've not called National Economic Council meeting for 9 months.
Why is that?
Because that's what we put on the table. The last Economic Council meeting I attended, I did suggest in the meeting that take 1% of the revenue from the states all over Nigeria to fund education and agriculture, especially education in the north. I did suggest in the last National Economic Council, we say it may be legal to take our resources, but we're willing to go back to our state assemblies to request them to allow us contribute 1% of our own revenue to grow education and agriculture in the north. Because, like I said that day in the meeting, I made that suggestion. I said, listen, we may think it is Yobe, we may think it's Borno, we may think it's Adamawa, but one day we wake up, because of hunger and poverty, it has crossed the river Niger.
Is that a failure of, or the challenge that the northern governors have faced?
No. I don't know. Okay, thank God you didn't use failure. The challenge is national. Currently, Nigeria is the number one country in the world in terms of out-of-school children, 10 million children. And these 10 million children will grow to become adults. And if they can't fend for themselves, you and I become the agents by which they will feed. So I made that suggestion, and I don't know whether that was the last Economic Council meeting, but that was the last one I attended. And because the only place we can discuss these issues and get the federal government to act is the National Economic Council meeting. They have stopped it for 9 months, despite the constitutional provisions.
But the peer review mechanism is supposed to be like watching yourselves. This is what I'm doing in my state. What are you doing in your state? In terms of education, for instance. Yes. Now, many will say that there are different levels that each tier of government is supposed to handle. Are the states handling their own portion before you go to the federal government?
We do much more than that. When people say, oh, the River State is known for just education, no. If you come to health, you will see. Currently, we've not just built 500 primary schools of high standard. We have employed 13,000 teachers. We've made laws. It's not enough to just hire teachers and build schools. We've made what we call the quality assurance law, in which the governor has the responsibility to respond to every report that comes from them. Immediately it comes.
Okay, if I may come here, Your Excellency. The question now will be, if River State is doing this, employed 30,000 teachers, how many other states are doing what River State is doing?
Well, it depends on what are the priorities in those states. I hear on the other was saying that they had done 25 of the primary schools. It's according to the capacity that you have. I know that Delta is doing a similar thing. So many states are doing different things at different times. You must look at the sources of all the states in asking that question. In terms of peer review, don't forget that we're doing peer review. Don't forget that last time we published a peer review of Anambra and Ekiti, right? They were doing Niger and Rivers when the federal government intervened in our electoral process and converted the result of 16 to have won or defeated 19.
When you say federal government intervened, the federal government wasn't in your meeting. Was the federal government there?
It's channel here. As you're interviewing me now, is there anything behind that says channel is here? No, answer is John here.
But we're here.
It's John here.
But we are.
You're not John.
But we're channels.
Yes, but you're not John. Somebody owns this thing.
Is it about the person or the organization?
Doesn't matter what. But can we proceed from what happened there? Because this is supposed to be an issue-based interview. It's not about what happened about. We passed the issue of the election of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
But the group is still divided.
I don't know about division.
Yeah, but
there's one
is
recognized.
the other group going to attend the summit?
When we hold meetings, not every governor attends. There's never been any meeting in which, apart from the election of the chairman, this recent one, in which we had 35 governors present, we never had all the governors attend any meeting.